Xavier had made the donation run at 2 a.m. because insomnia had him pacing his apartment like a caged animal. The donation bin sat in the corner of a poorly lit parking lot, its metal surface covered in peeling paint and faded instructions. He'd tossed in 2 bags of old clothes, hoodies, jeans, a winter coat he no longer needed, and driven away without a second thought. But he'd forgotten his phone on the roof of his car. When he returned 15 minutes later, someone was huddled beside the bin, wearing his old gray hoodie. Xavier's first instinct was irritation. The clothes were meant for the charity organization to distribute, not for immediate scavenging. But as his headlights swept across the figure, he froze. The woman's skin was wrong. It shimmered with an iridescent quality, like oil on water, shifting between deep purples and blues under the streetlight. Her hands, clutching the hoodie around her thin frame, had 6 fingers each. And when she turned to look at him, her eyes were entirely black, no whites, no iris, just pools of darkness that reflected the stars above. She was shivering violently. Xavier sat in his car for a long moment, heart hammering. Every survival instinct screamed at him to drive away, to call someone, anyone, authorities, military, Ghostbusters, whoever handled this sort of thing. But the woman took a stumbling step toward the bin, reaching for the second bag he'd left, and collapsed onto the cold pavement. "Damn it," Xavier muttered, and got out of the car. Up close, she was even more alien. Her bone structure was too delicate, too angular. Her hair moved on its own, floating around her head like she was underwater. But she was conscious, barely. And when he knelt beside her, she flinched away with a sound of pure terror. Hey, Xavier said softly, holding up his hands. "I'm not going to hurt you." She stared at him, trembling. Then, in halting, strangely accented English, she whispered, "Cold. So, cold." That decided it. Xavier pulled off his own jacket and draped it over her shoulders. "Can you stand?" "My car's warm." She managed a nod. With his help, she stumbled to the passenger seat, and Xavier cranked the heat to maximum. As warmth flooded the vehicle, her shivering gradually subsided. Her skin stopped its frantic color shifting, settling into a steady deep blue. "Thank you," she said, her voice gaining strength. "I did not expect ... kindness." "What happened to you?" Xavier asked. Obviously you're not from here." A bitter sound escaped her, maybe a laugh. "My ship malfunctioned. I crashed in your ocean 3 days ago. I swam to shore, but your world is so cold. My species evolved on a high-temperature planet. I have been searching for warmth, for shelter. I found your donation receptacle and hoped." She pulled the hoodie tighter. "These coverings help a little." Xavier glanced at his dashboard clock. 2:47 a.m. "You can't stay out here. You'll freeze." "I cannot go to your authorities," she said quickly. "My people have protocols. First contact must be managed carefully, through proper channels. If I am discovered this way, it could damage future relations between our species. I only need time to repair my emergency beacon, to signal for extraction." "How much time?" "Perhaps 2 of your days." Xavier thought about his tiny apartment, his quiet life, the absolute insanity of what he was about to do. Then he thought about this woman, this person, alien, or not, freezing to death in a parking lot. "Okay," he said. "You can crash at my place, but we're going to need more clothes, and you're going to need to tell me what you need to fix that beacon." Her eyes widened. "You would harbor me? Risk yourself?" "Yeah. Well," Xavier put the car in drive. "Welcome to Earth. We're weird like that." 2 days turned into an adventure Xavier would never forget. Her name was Melanie, at least. That was the closest human approximation of the harmonic sound she made. She was an exploratory scientist, studying potentially habitable worlds. Earth had been on her list, but equipment failure had forced an early, unplanned arrival. Xavier raided thrift stores for warm clothes, explaining to bemused cashiers that his girlfriend was always cold. Melanie layered everything, hoodies, undercoats, underblankets, and still sat in his apartment with the thermostat at 85 degrees. She taught him words in her language that sounded like music. He taught her to appreciate terrible reality TV, which she found fascinating. She worked on her beacon with components Xavier helped her acquire from electronics stores, her 6-fingered hands moving with incredible precision. And she told him about her world, a planet orbiting a red giant, with cities built around thermal vents and oceans that boiled at the shores. "Your species confuses me," Melanie admitted on the second evening, wrapped in 3 of his old hoodies. "You live on a cold world, in the darkness between stars, and yet you share warmth so freely. You gave me your coverings without knowing me." Why Xavier considered this? Because someone was cold, and I could help. "That's just what you do." Not all species think this way, Melanie said softly. Many would have seen advantage in my vulnerability, but humans made that harmonic sound again. Humans see someone shivering in the cold and give them the coat off their back. Your world may be dark, Xavier, but your people burn bright. When her beacon finally activated and her rescue ship arrived the next night, Melanie stood in Xavier's apartment doorway, wearing his old gray hoodie under her returned environmental suit. I will tell them about you, she said, about the human who found a freezing stranger and brought her home. When first contact comes official first contact, they will know humanity's character because I will tell them what I learned here. She touched his hand with her six-fingered one, that when you found someone in need, in the cold and dark, you did not hesitate to share your warmth. Xavier watched her ship vanish into the stars, a point of light among thousands, and smiled. Humanity's first impression on the galaxy hadn't come through grand speeches or careful diplomacy. It had come from old clothes in a donation bin, and the simple human instinct to help. Someone who was cold. That seemed about right.